And okay, we will be recording it, so yes, please do let us know. If you could sign in the chat and let us know who's here and where you're from. I can't see any faces, and well, many faces at the moment, so yeah, you know, please feel free to put your cameras on. Okay, so this afternoon's clinic is going to be focusing on Gatsby Benchmark 3. And particularly around tracking and destinations. So just to some of the objectives: to discuss different strategies to support destination tracking, perhaps giving you some tools to support and pieces of the jigsaw that will help you to I suppose, analyse the destinations of your students. So also presenting resources and information to build alumni, to support you around destinations and raising aspirations. We'll be reviewing Compass Plus to record and track learning, and sharing ideas and strategies to meet benchmark requirements, what schools are doing, what schools and colleges are doing already to support this particular benchmark. Okay, so just, yeah, that's the agenda, which we've had to rejig slightly because of illness. We're pleased to have this afternoon. Welcome to all the careers leaders, first of all. We're glad to have you on board and your presence. We've got Leon from Future First, who will be our first speaker to talk about the alumni programme. Hannah from the 14 to 19 team will be talking about some support with destination tracking. One of our potential enterprise advisors will be talking about how LinkedIn can be a useful tool. Mike will be talking about Compass Plus, and then hopefully an opportunity for discussion later on. So a very full agenda, so we'll crack on. And before I hand over to Leon, I just thought a very useful slide, one of the CEC resources around what good looks like for Benchmark 3. You know, some of the key components, key components of Benchmark 3. And I suppose this afternoon really we'll be focusing on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. So most of those. So support with tracking students' activities, some support with tracking destinations for 3 years to help you evaluate your careers programme more than anything. How to establish an active alumni to support your destinations tracking, building that relationship with the LA to support the tracking, and reviewing of Compass Plus. So hopefully we'll be looking at some of those criteria and opportunity. Please do pop any questions in the chat as we go along, and we will try to address them. Okay, so we'll get started, and I'm pleased to hand over to Leon Ward from Future First, who's going to talk about their Connect Ed programme and how that can support you with building your alumni network. So I'll stop sharing my screen to enable Leon to talk to you and present. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Julie, and good afternoon, everybody. You can see my name. I'm the Programme Innovations Director at Future First. If you haven't heard of Future First, then this is obviously going to be a great session for you. I've only got 10 minutes. I do have some slides for you, but it's not death by PowerPoint. All I wanted to do is to put some sort of flesh on the bones about our core programme, which is called Connect Ed. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen very quickly now for you so you can see it. And obviously this is being recorded. So you'll be able to watch back to your heart's content if one iteration of this not enough. But it's worth saying that Future First is 10 years old. We work in a number of schools across the country, work in about 300 schools at the moment, but historically have worked in over 1,000 state schools across the UK. It's really important for me to say that we only work predominantly at the moment in state schools, building thriving alumni networks to help level the playing field for young people who are your current students. Now, this slide is saying it's not loading. Can you see that, Julie?
It's saying it didn't.
Yeah,
Can.
I don't know why I've never seen that before, but it's done that anyway. So, as I said, who is Future First? We're the national education charity. Our vision is of a world where a young person's start in life does not limit their future. What is the problem that we are trying to solve? Well, all of you will know that we have a deep social mobility problem in this country. Just to put some numbers behind that, only 1 in 8 children from a low income background will go on to become a high earner as an adult. A quarter of students in free school meals say that people like them don't succeed in life. And the other problem is we have no relatable role models for those sorts of young people. 4% of doctors, 6% of barristers, and 11% of journalists are from state schools. And so we have a huge gap there for young people who are state educated going into high paid, high skilled jobs. Now, the problem continued, this bit at the bottom is around, with that person with the question mark, is really around relatable role models. That is at the core of what we do, helping young people connect to people that look like them, sound like them, and have similar reference points to them. The key word alumni is about people who went to my school coming back and supporting people who are currently at my school, i.e. me, if I was a student there. The key here is you can't be what you can't see, and we're on a mission to try and change that. One of the things that we help schools do is create inspirational posters about role models that have graduated from our school. You'll see here that this student or this adult went to Tower Cross Academy and now works in the desert because they're executive secretary at Saudi Aramco. So this student went to Tower Cross Academy. Posters are a real simple tool to show young people inspirational role models that look like them who have gone on to succeed and to do. In terms of our purpose, there are 2 strands to it. The first, to see every state school and college supported by a thriving and engaged alumni community. The bit I really want you to focus on here is thriving and engaged. We don't just want a list of ex-students on a PowerPoint or an Excel spreadsheet or even on LinkedIn's alumni tool. What we want is for alumni to be engaged and really supportive of what's going on in your school currently. We also want every young person to have relatable role models, trusted mentors, and meaning social capital in their lives. In a moment, I'm going to go through some key ways that alumni can help you with some of the challenges you'll be facing in your school, especially as we enter the recovery phase that COVID has resulted in. I suppose in terms of our impact over 10 years, we've reached nearly 500,000 students. We have over 250,000 alumni volunteers on our database at any one time. We've worked with almost a third of all secondary schools and colleges in England. 90% of teachers recommend our workshops to other schools, and more than 70% of young people we've worked with now think that they can succeed and are committed to working harder after meeting alumni. I don't think you're going to need me to tell you all of the in-depth benefits of alumni, because I think it's probably quite obvious around what that army of volunteers of former students can do for your school. But I'm going to give you just a quick flavour of them. The first is we obviously help schools to hit the Gatsby benchmarks, particularly 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. I'll focus on number 3 today because that's obviously what you're focusing on, but there's something there around building that alumni network in your school and linking curriculum learning to careers. The 2 are intertwined. Our alumni or your alumni are great at telling current students what topics and subjects at school or at college have helped them in their life. That doesn't necessarily have to be just careers, but their life more broadly. So the other part of this is also people who've gone through their careers and want to say to students, if I had my time again, I wish I had studied X, Y, and Z, or if I had my time again, I wish I'd really pursued that course I was really interested in but didn't think would help me in my career, because actually I've been able to pick up those skills in later life. This is about alumni coming and talking to students and showing them different ways and different choices you can make to impact your career and your life. The other thing about alumni networks, it's worth saying, is they're sustainable and they're flexible. So once you build Building the network is the hard bit. Then after that, it tends to be a bit easier. Most people who want to give back to their school or get involved as an alumni volunteer will, in one way or another, support you. And so actually, once you've done that hard graft around getting people registered with you, then you can reap the real benefits of it. But really, there are so many roles that alumni can play. They can be advisors, they can be relatable trailblazers. Perhaps they were the first in the family to attend university, or perhaps they're a woman who's broken the glass ceiling in a STEM subject. Perhaps they have gotten into a sector that is notoriously difficult to get into. Or perhaps they've just done some really interesting things and climbed Mount Everest when they were 21. There is something here that doesn't that relates to people just beyond careers. And whilst careers is a natural link, actually we know young people are looking for advice and guidance about that whole wraparound experience of being a young person. Alumni can be experts, so real sector-specific knowledge. We know that they can be professional and support students with professional skills, so from soft skills, i.e. what you should wear in a job interview, and here's how you pass the psychometric testing, and here's how you do competency-based interviews, here's what a decent CV looks like. And by the way, alumni are really good at providing mock interviews to students too. So there's lots of different ways there, just as examples of what alumni can do for your students. So as I say, advisors, trailblazers, experts, and offering professional advice and services. There is also something we do helping alumni to mentor and coach current students. So that's a more bespoke program that is bolted onto our Core Connected program. But you can obviously probably see the real benefits of having a mentor and a coach when you're in year 9, 10, 11, or even beyond that, actually, at key transition points through your education. The other thing to say is that I wanted to show you an example. Well, first of all, an overview of our work in Birmingham, and then an example of those posters, which I showed earlier. First thing to say is that we have 9 member schools currently across Birmingham, 8 secondaries, 1 college. And across those 9, we've got over 2,000 alumni already registered from those schools. So actually, we're not doing that bad. It's also worth saying that some of the events that alumni have put on have included journey workshops. So this is how I got to where I'm at now, and this is all the things that I've done. The work experience support, they've offered apprenticeship advice, mock interview support, and put on a school reunion. So some really interesting ways of how alumni can help there. This graph I want to show you, there's a second poster that I'm trying to show you that it won't let me show you for whatever reason, but schools that come on the Connected programme, you get unlimited number of these posters. So we create these for you, and you can have as many as you want for your alumni who leave. We will support you in creating those. At this school, over 126 alumni have registered at Tile Cross Academy. Their occupations range from engineers to healthcare professionals, got filmmakers and chief executives. Alumni events have also included World of Work days, mock interview support, and case study insights. In terms of what to expect, if you're a school that comes on the Connected programme, you get all of this. Now, it's worth saying at the forefront, because your first question will be, how much does this cost? Connected costs £2,250, and for that, you get this. You get a dedicated alumni programme manager from one of our team who will guide you through every step of the way as you go through the programme. They will help you with the build phase. They will help you recruit your alumni. We design things like school leaver assembly, so to capture your current leavers who are going to become alumni as they leave in the next couple of weeks. We'll help you create those unlimited posters. You'll get access to our technology, which is an alumni portal that is safeguarded, and a walled garden that allows you to communicate with your alumni, allows alumni to communicate with students too, but in a public forum. We are creating basically LinkedIn for alumni networks, and we're launching that in September. Currently, we have a management portal where you can talk to your alumni, but we're enhancing that from September, so I wanted to just throw that in there too. You'll also get our monthly email bulletin showing all the good practice and opportunities funded by our employee partners, trusts and foundations. We do create a whole range of free resources, so if you've never worked with us before and you want to get a taster for that, go on our website. We've just published a new, and I'll share the link in a moment, virtual work experience pack for health and social care. We've also done a virtual work experience pack for careers in the charity sector, because we're a registered charity and we want great people to come and work for charities. You'll get partnerships meetings and email and phone support with us. So we go through and help you build your alumni strategy from scratch. So if you're sat there thinking, I haven't got a clue how to do any of this, do not worry, we will support you through that. You also get a program guidebook, which takes you through each of those steps. You also get an impact report. So the way that this works is typically a cohort of students will go through the program, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about the program in depth in just a moment. And we baseline survey the students at the start of the program year, so let's say September, and then at the end of the year we do a sort of exit survey to try and track what alumni have done for students' perceptions of the working world. You'll also be pleased to know that destination tracking is a key component of the new technology that we're launching in September. So if you capture your leavers now, the platform will keep an eye on them and ask them what they've been going to do as they leave school. And also, because they become part of your alumni, there's an opportunity for them to come back and volunteer straight away. So you get all of that. And then we also design workshops for your schools. So the 35 students will go through, the core students, the core cohort will go through 3 of the Future First workshops that are in that top layer there. So there's a whole range of subjects available that the school can choose from, and we will design that in partnership with you when we do that strategy meeting. So you might say, in our school, one of the things that we struggle with is getting students to make informed decisions about their subjects and their careers and their next steps, and so we would run a workshop on that. We also help you for a whole year group. We will help you put on a workshop for yourself, so we will teach you how to do it and give you all the tools and resources you need to put on a bespoke workshop for your whole year group. And we also offer staff CPD training for you and your colleagues at school. So we run those throughout the year to come and learn about things like Gatsby, to also learn how best to use alumni as you go forward. I've put a quick slide on how to prepare there, but I'm actually going to skip that because I don't want to run over time and upset the programme for the day. So I'm going to stop and take questions if there's time to. And if you are interested, drop me a line and we will get the first meeting set up.
I took it all.
Yeah, Leon, we've got... Sorry, Leon, we've got plenty of time at the moment because our next speaker won't be with us till 4. So if you wanted to go into anything in a bit more detail.
Well, it's just the final was to say that the way that this works is was just a logistic point of view. So we tend to ask in the first meeting if you are interested in pursuing this. Obviously, you don't have to make a decision right away in terms of whether you're going to purchase the full package. But in that strategy meeting at step 1, what we tend to do is ask for an SLT member to be in there, somebody who looks after your marketing. Now, some of you will be thinking we don't have a marketing coordinator; it's just the person on reception who sends out the tweets or whatever. But the reason is obviously the social media aspect that your school has comes into this to engage alumni. And then we ask for what we call a lead teacher. So somebody who is our day-to-day contact to help set up the workshops, to help plan what we're going to do with alumni. If some of you are sat there thinking, this sounds great, but I don't have time to engage alumni like that, the whole point of ConnectEd is that it is a managed program. We manage it for you. When you give us the workshop date, we go out and source the alumni from your pool to come and give their time to whatever workshop it is we're designing. So if that's a career carousel and you want 6 alumni to be engaged, then we will go out and get them for you. So the whole point of this is that you're paying for a managed service. We do all of the heavy lifting for you, but what we can't do is do those kind of like internal lobbying that you'll need to do in school, like booking the appropriate space for us to run the workshop. We can't do that because we're not in the school. So that's the bit that we ask for you to do. The other thing to say is we do give you press support too. So we will help you with local press releases and engaging with the local media. Should you be a school that really wants to kind of launch into the scene and say, you know, made in Tilecross or whatever approach, whatever your school name is. So at this point, I'll just stop if there are any questions.
Does anybody have any particular questions about the programme, or have we got any of the schools using the programme, any feedback or information. Is there anything in the chat?
There's just a comment from Nusrat saying that she's used it and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, so
great. Nusrat, you and I have not
positive
met
feedback.
because I've only been in the job for 7 weeks, so that is great that you said that. I promise you this wasn't set up. I don't know who Nusrat is, so I will go away and check. But that's good to know that you've used it and have found it to be brilliant. Nusrat, the stuff that I said about new technology you might not be fully aware of yet, but that is going to launch in September. So as I say, that is LinkedIn, but for alumni, an opportunity for you to kind of coordinate your communications with your alumni network when you get there. If you are thinking this is great, but I'm not sure about funding and paying for this, if you want us to pitch to your senior leadership team, I'm happy to do the heavy lifting around asking for the cash. Do not worry. Equally, we are happy to support schools to try and find local pots of money. There is money available out there, and we tend to try and be all over it in terms of supporting schools to get that. We are a registered charity. You know, our job is not to make profits, but we have to cover costs. And running 3 workshops in schools, if you imagine when we go back to face, that costs money. The other thing to say is if you are interested in our free stuff, if you just go on our website, click on resources, you'll find all the materials in there. Like I say, there's virtual work experience packs. We've also got packs around LGBT History Month. We've got stuff around women in STEM careers. There's a whole range of things that you can use out there as a tester. And if this is your last chance to ask questions. If there aren't any questions, I will drop off and grant you all 7 minutes back.
I mean, it does sound, a fantastic program. I mean, I can imagine funding is going to be a big challenge, as for many institutions. And I suppose one thing, I was impressed at the number. You'd say it was about 126 for Tile Cross. Is that?
Yeah, and schools. This has been recorded, so I won't say what I was about to say, but schools are very keen on, how many alumni signed up. But the point is, it's about quality. You could have 20 alumni members signed up and the quality is really brilliant. If each of those 20 goes on to mentor a student, that is better than having 120 who don't do anything. So numbers are a little bit deceiving in that sense. And I'd like to kind of flag that warning now, because schools get obsessed about the numbers because it's an easy measurer. But actually, we will help you to track impact. We produce an impact report for you at the end of your membership year, which talks about how often the alumni are logging into the portal, how what activities they're delivering for you, how many sessions you've put on, etc. So you get a real good flavour of what's gone on in your membership year. And as I say, we're happy to do the heavy lifting around asking for the cash. Mm-hmm. Yes, thanks, Claire. That's the point. It's people that sound like me, look like me, but also have the same reference points. The corner shop that was there when I was at school is still there, and the same person is behind the till giving the service. So when you go into school and you talk about where you hung around at lunch or whatever, the point is that students listen to what you're saying. The science tells us that it's 6 relatable role models that students need to engage with to be able to change that perception that they have in their mind. And so when we run workshops, we try and get a minimum of 2 alumni in each workshop. So you have those 6 encounters. And then, of course, we measure the impact by surveying the students on the way out. Yes, there's Nusrat saying, 700 odd alumni on there, but only 20% active. And that's always the way. Schools often do a big drive. But with the new tech, there should be more engagement, right? Because one of the things we're doing is we're going to offer some extra wraparound CPD support for alumni volunteers. So we're actually going to run some training for volunteers who want to maybe learn about safeguarding or who want to become mentors. And so we're going to be enhancing the offer for alumni too, so they can perhaps see this as something else other than just giving back to their secondary school.
Would you say that there is generally, an appetite for giving back to the schools? And
yeah, it's quite interesting. If you all think about your own lives and your friends, lots of you, you can't wait to get out of school. You go as far as you can often, and then when it's time to perhaps settle or raise your own families, you often go back to the area that you grew up in, or at least just a couple of miles down the road. So we find that lots of people are home birds and are really keen to support their home area. We do have a national alumni pool too for those that have moved away and stayed away, who can contribute back. The other thing to think about is that as you enter the recovery phase for COVID, alumni can be really good feet on the ground to help you run sports day, to help you run after schools clubs. Perhaps you can get alumni volunteers in to run a maths catch-up club once a month. Think about how alumni can really help you with all the challenges that you're facing in school. We will provide you with that expert advice, and indeed you'll be able to get some of that information on our website. We've also got a free toolkit that I'll share in the chat in just a moment that you can have a look at, and that will give you, you won't get the bells and whistles, but it gives you the kind of, you know, the premise of how to do it. It's done by a psychologist called Fiona Murden, and I will share with you the link to her page in a moment on our website. And she published a book called Mirror Thinking. If you've not heard of it, give it a go. I think it's, I don't know, 10 quid or whatever on Amazon. Really interesting insight into the role that relatable role models play for children and young people. I'll link you to that in a moment. What I'll do is turn my camera off just before the next speaker comes in and pop it on. Let's see if I can multitask and get it up for you now. There's always a risk about mentioning Fiona's work because people always ask me about it. I should learn. Well, I have learned. I'm 7 weeks in. I will put that on our slides for the future. So have a look at this. Power of role models. That's it. There's an introduction to our partnership with Fiona, and then if you click at the bottom, it says the power of role models. If you have a look in there, you'll find a bit about the science down at the bottom.
Thanks, Leon.
No problem. Okay, any other questions?
Are there any further questions in the chat or?
Nothing at the moment, Julie.
Okay.
Great. Okay, I will drop off at this point. It was very nice to see all your names on the screen and the one of you that put your cameras on. Thank you very much. I will drop my email in there too. And if you are interested, get in touch, even if there is a chance. Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you. Thank you. I mean, I'm in my kitchen. Like you can see the pots there. Look, I just kind of shirt here where you've got the flowers instead, which look a bit nicer. Do get in touch. And like I said, we're happy to try and get this off of the ground if funding is a challenge, or indeed you want us to pitch this to your SLT. And I'll leave it there.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed, Leon, for talking through the programme. So the next step, we can share the slides. You're happy for us to share the slides? It has been recorded, so you know, obviously people who attend, but it'd be great to have those slides as well. So if anybody wants to discuss it further, then they contact you. And I think it's a great opportunity because I mean, I've heard of Future First, but it's always great to hear about the updates. And, you know, I wasn't aware that there are some toolkits available on your website as well as, you know, the funded resource. So that's brilliant. Thank you for the update.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for joining the meeting this afternoon. Thank you. Okay, that's a great overview of the resources available to support with alumni tracking, and there may be an opportunity to discuss this further, perhaps if we have some breakout rooms in a sec. Next on the agenda is the 14 to 19 team. Hannah was able to join. I know she was between meetings. Has Hannah joined the meeting? I feel I'm doing a radio show here, really.
I don't think she's on yet, Julie.
Okay. Okay then. So, Mike, do you want to do your bit now? So that is that okay?
Yeah, I'm happy to give you a bit of an overview of my section, if that's okay.
Okay.
Can I share
fine.
my screen? Give me 1 second. I'll just share my screen for you.
Okay.
So hopefully I can see that screen. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so I just wanted to give a quick update on Compass Plus. but also linked into Benchmark 3 about tracking in destinations and where that information can go to on your Compass Plus profile. Before I go into where you put that data, if there's anybody on the presentation who hasn't upgraded to Compass Plus and is interested to, it's free to upgrade. So you go through your Compass Classic profile and there should be a button that says upgrade to Compass Plus. You fill in the form and it'll run from there really. There is some information on the upgrade process on this slide, so you just need to click on here for the link, so the upgrade process, and it will take you through the step-by-step actions of who needs to be informed and who will need to be involved. Typically needs to be signed off for GDPR and also go through the IT team because it's going to be linked to MIS data. There are infographics which I can share, which kind of show the reason for upgrading, and also if there's a good document to show the use of Compass Plus and the steps that were needed and the reasons for going through it and how it links to how it can be shown to the senior leadership team. Sorry, so I can share that infographic in the chat once I've been through this. If your process for any reason of upgrading to Compass Plus has stalled for any reason, what I would suggest is let your enterprise coordinator know, just so that we're aware we can chase it. But also at the bottom of this page and also at the last slide, the email address for the Compass support team. It's worth emailing them, potentially copy your enterprise coordinator in as well so they can see, just so that we can help you with that process. I know there are a couple of schools that are trying to get through this process and signing up to Compass Plus, but if it has stalled and you haven't heard anything for some time, let us know so we can try and help you. If you have upgraded and now you're thinking, actually, I need to know a little bit more about Compass Plus, I'm going to focus on the Benchmark 3 element, but there are some really nice online learning modules that you can access. We've done it as a team, so a lot of the enterprise coordinators have been through these modules. And you can access these. So the links again are on this screen. Take you to 2 modules, take about half an hour each, and we'll take you through the highlights and the positive elements and the functionality of Compass Plus. So it's all involved in that training. There's also, as I put in a bit, there's a knowledge base which has got lots of information about Compass Plus, and if you're looking at using it and getting the most out of the program, there are lots of Q&As and YouTube videos all linked into the knowledge base, and it's all linked in one of the slides in a second. If we are to look at tracking destinations for your students, on your landing page, so on your dashboard for Compass Plus, towards the bottom, you will see the tracking in intended destinations element, and it will give you the overview, which you'll see on the screen at the moment. Now, it'll work on the information that has to be inputted by someone in the school. So if it's yourself or if it's a member of an admin team, if you've got a member of admin team that can support you on this, to input the data through the pupil profile. So on the individual pupil profiles, there's the intended destination tab, and that's where we can input some data. I have asked the Compass Plus team if this is something we can do a mass upload to, because of the volume of work that is needed to get every year 10, 11, 12 student on here. At the moment, it is has to be done on an individual basis, so there isn't any mass upload option, but I have been told that is something that are working on. They're developing that, because if there's a way to make it easier, we want to try and put that in place for all the careers leaders. So your visualizations on the screen will give you a breakdown of your destinations. It's different for year 10s and year 13s because you want different information for those, but it'll be grouped together. So as you'll see on here, you can select your year group, and as you select your year group from the drop down, this information will change. Now, the information on the left-hand side of the screen, which I think my next slide will tell you, is about the percentage of the students who have had intended destinations inputted. So it will give you a highlight of how much of the records have been saved and the percentage of your year group. That will alter depending on what year group you want to focus on. So on the slide at the moment, you've got year 12s highlighted. And also with those year 10s, year 12s, So the Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5s, there'll be different information that can be inputted, and then obviously will show on this screen when you're on it. So Key Stage 4, it will show you sixth form options, further education and other. And for Key Stage 5, as you'll see on the screen at the moment, it will show university, employment, apprenticeship and others. So it will start to give you a breakdown of those, and it will give you some nice bar charts that will give you an easy snapshot of the percentage of destinations, as it says on the screen at the moment. You've got your apprenticeships, other and university pathways. We could give you some reason to have a look at the extras you need to put into your Compass program. It could alter what you're going to be delivering with your careers program, because it may need to be altered according to what your year groups are looking for and what they're intended to go to. So that will all be adjusted according to the data you input. As I said here, you hover over the bars, those will then break down themselves. So we've got the year 12s highlighted on this screen. And we've got 40.7% which are intending to go on to an apprenticeship, and as we hover over that bar, it will then break down that even further. And it's particularly good if you're trying to share this information as well with other members of staff or SLT. They'll be able to get the information from here without having to go through the pupils' profiles. The information will be accessible on here, so you'll just need to use the drop down menus to alter those. As I've said, these are inputted through the pupil profile section. So if you aren't inputting that data at the moment, these elements on your dashboard will be currently blank, but it is something that can be inputted. It is a manual process, as I said, at the moment. We're hoping for a bulk upload option will be put in very shortly. Obviously with this, there are elements that you can go through. There are videos to show you how this is done and how you can maximize this this tool. The knowledge base, which I mentioned earlier on, is down here towards the bottom, so hyperlinked in here. So as I share these slides, the knowledge base can be accessed. If you click onto here, that will take you through to different elements. So it breaks down different sections of the knowledge base, which could be about intended destinations. It could be how you can actually involve more members of staff across the school to help you with Compass Plus. It could be about inputting your data, so inputting an event onto Compass Plus. There are little videos and step-by-step guides for most things and most elements of their program. So if you're concerned about getting the most out of Compass Plus, instead of throwing loads and loads of slides at you, there's the videos in there for you, so you can just work through those. I would suggest having a look at the training modules that are on the earlier slides. As I said, we've used them as a team, and I found them very useful to really get my head around everything that Compass Plus can do. If by using the knowledge base and the modules, you're still at a loss of what else you can do with it or how to maximize the use of Compass Plus, either come to us as a team, or again, the Compass Plus support team are there to help. You'll get notification when they've got your message, and then there will be action from there. But there is lots of support to help get the most out of that. And what I would say is, if you have any concerns, please raise them with us, and copy us into any emails you send to the support team, so that we can also help and support from our end to make sure you're getting the information as quickly as possible. Any information that I have shared is hyperlinked in here, so as you get these slides and recordings, all the hyperlinks are on the slides, so you can access those. So that's a whistle-stop tour very quickly of how you can put them on there. As I said, that I'd like to concentrate on it being a mass upload, but at the moment it is going to be a manual process that you'll need to update that information. So going through individual profiles and updating those students. But if it's something you could task maybe careers advisor, if they could do that as part of their interviews to upload that information, you could highlight them as a user or a viewer within Compass Plus, and they'll be able to access and input that data straight away, which will then filter to your profiles, and you'll get all the information as well.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Yes, so Hannah, are you with us now? Can we hold it? Oh, that's great. Sorry about this. This has been jumping around. if we could hold any questions for Mike for the moment, because I know, Hannah, you're on a tight schedule.
I am, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so if I hand over to you, to be able to talk about some of the proposals we have for sharing some high-level destination data with students. I know you've been thrown into this at the last minute, so if you can.
I can. I'm on my iPhone. Unfortunately, Birmingham City Council laptop won't let me join via Zoom. So, Julie, I've sent you the spreadsheet. If you could open it and share it on screen, I'll talk round it, if that's okay. And just so you know as well, oh, somebody calling me on my work. I've also got Helen Houghton Elliott on my laptop, who is an education data specialist within the City Council, who drafts all the SAP and Crystal reports for us. So what we're going to do is a bit of a double act, because if there's any questions that you have and I'm unable to answer, I'm sitting literally next to my laptop and I'll pass those over to Helen. So thank you, Julie. So as you can see here, this is an Excel spreadsheet, and what we're trying to do is work in conjunction with Julie and her team to provide settings, educational settings, with information high level intended. It's an intended report at high level to show you the participation figures of who attended a Birmingham school in year 11. Now, what we're going to propose it here is to run each report by the setting name and give details of the destinations of those young people that were with you in year 11 and where they moved into in the academic year for year 12 and in the academic year for year 13. And we're going to provide the details to you as of February 21. And we're going to go back over the last 2 academic years so that you can see where a young person was participating and the movement of where they've been since leaving your school in year 11. Now, the figures will be for those that are counted within our cohort of young people. Now, as it stands at the moment, and Helen, please correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, because I always seem to get it back to front. As a local authority, we have to report into the DFE on an annual tracking cycle. There's 5 elements throughout the calendar year that we report on. When we report on a year 11, in participation status and where they're attending, we have to do that for young people who reside in Birmingham and also participate in a setting across the border. So is that right, Helen?
Year 11s need to be at school in Birmingham,
right?
Or not at school if they're off roll or not known. Then they need to live in Birmingham.
Yeah. And
then the year 12s and 13 need to live in Birmingham.
Right, told you I'd get it the wrong way around. Did you get that? So the year 11s, do you want to repeat that, Helen? I've got you up against the computer. Can you repeat it for colleagues around the table, please?
A year 11 who is on roll at a Birmingham school is what we report on.
Yeah.
Any year 11 age group who are off roll or not known or educated at home, they need to live in Birmingham. And then year 12s and 13s just need to live in Birmingham. It doesn't matter where they've been educated or where they're doing their apprenticeship or whatever.
Lovely, thank you. So what we will do is we'll back that up as well in writing with the email with the spreadsheet. So that's the cohort and how we track, okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to give you the total number of the cohort that you confirm to us within your setting, and then break it down by the participation as of February, because that's when the DFE take the measure from us as a local authority, and that's what's reported back on the participation figure overall for the city, the NEAT figure overall for the city, and the not known figure. And that's what we're always measured against year on year, and that's the published data set that is taken. So the February data is the published data. So we're going to give you high level of the volume of young people that went into full-time education, that went into apprenticeships, work-based learning, part-time education, employment with training, And also other. Now the other relates to the number of possible not known young people. So we knew they were in your cohort, but we don't know, or you didn't report back to us what their destination information was, and we haven't been able to track it since. And the NEAT figure. So we can do that high level, and then we can also show you, as you're setting the participation for your setting in February, we can compare that to the overall Birmingham performance figure. And then if you wanted to, obviously you could look at the national figure, but you'd be able to see the participation of your leavers and young people compared to those of Birmingham. And we can do that for the last 2 academic years for you at setting level. I suppose the question is to you as a group, is that what you were expecting, and or is there anything else that you wanted, Julie and colleagues?
Is there any feedback on that information? Is that information the sort of information that would help with your tracking your young people? Any questions or feedback?
What I would propose, Julie, if we haven't got any questions, we'll send it out, and with the caveat about the year 11 and year 12, which I always get back to front, hence why I've got Helen, bless her, thank you. What I would do is maybe if we do a sample data set for you, and we just randomly select 2 or 3 settings that want to pilot it with us and to see whether that's a true reflection of their thoughts.
Okay, yep, yeah. Could I just clarify then, because you know, just to be clear in my own head, obviously you're not able to share individual pupil data. It will just be the volumes that fall into those categories on the screen. And we're looking at the dates then. So which year would that go back to? So leavers in going back to 2018, is that correct?
Yes, so quite right, we can't share below that high level data, so we can give numbers, okay, so that you can see it, and obviously do that as percentages. And yes, we would look at the leavers from 2018-19 academic year for you from that point, yes.
Okay. So while it, you know, might not, you know, clearly doesn't have that individual pupil data, as you're saying, individual schools will be keeping their records, whatever they submit to you for the annual participation survey, and there will be an opportunity to do some comparison with what they submit when the young person leaves in year 11 to the sort of volumes that you present there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think what would be helpful is for your next meeting, if I anonymise 2 or 3 data sets of schools that are working with you, then you can show how it looks, and you can have those off the record conversations with the 2 or 3 individuals if it looks a true reflection, and or if there's any improvements or thoughts that has come from that. Okay.
So are there, you know, so what you're saying is you'd welcome 1 or 2, not I don't know how many, we've got 26 on the call, 26 schools, but if there were 1 or 2 schools who'd like to have a go at modelling this with you,
yeah,
you'd be willing to do that?
Yeah, no problem. What I will do is put a couple of colleagues' email address on the spreadsheet when we send it out with the revised notes about the cohort information, and then get in touch and we'll send that through, and let's work with you to see if it's a true reflection of your thoughts. Not sure if there was a couple of questions in the chat. I'm just going to move over to the chat.
There are a couple of questions, Hannah.
Ruth.
A lot of people saying yes, really, really useful. So lots of positive comments. Just a couple of questions about the border, and does it Solihull? Would Solihull include Birmingham data, or Birmingham data include Solihull? I'm not quite sure.
Right, with regards to the data, I suppose that's going back to Helen's point. it's about where they live. With regards to Solihull, you'd probably have to have a conversation with Katie Oldham if you wanted something similar set up from them. So yeah, we can only report from a Birmingham LA perspective.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of people saying, yeah, that sounds really good.
Any other questions there in the chat, Ruth? Or
is this information required by Ofsted when they visit?
With regards to Ofsted, obviously we know that they look at Gatsby benchmarks, and we're giving you high level information. It supports obviously destination measures and things like that, but it'd be up to individuals to drill down into more info, I suppose, what Ofsted would be reporting on.
Yeah,
but
probably more about what you're doing with it, isn't it? What you're doing with that.
And when we met with Russell Jordan in January and February, and when providers were on the call, he alluded to Gatsby. He alluded to having some updates that were coming across the spring term, and we're meeting with him in a few weeks to look at putting on another session. So if attendees want to join that session, that certainly could be a question that could be put to Ofsted, and we could get some formal notification back from them, couldn't we, as a question. But obviously they allude to Gatsby, they allude to the destination tracking, they alluded to careers strategy, they alluded to, you know, online learning, COVID being looked at, they alluded to elected home educated increased, they alluded to several things, but certainly Gatsby and destination tracking was part of that conversation.
Yeah, I think they do look at destinations and the tracking and how you're using the data and feeding that back into your careers programme.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, really, that it's more about I suppose not just, yes, you've got that data, but so what, isn't it? You know, if the local authority is providing you with that, it's about, like we were saying, doing that comparison with your understanding of that cohort. If you thought you had, you know, we were talking, Jackie and Sharon and I this morning, if you thought you had one NEET and then that suggests there were 20, then that would raise some questions about your programme. I think it's much more the analysis of the data that's the significant factor. Yeah. But that's absolutely brilliant. I think we've had one volunteer already to but Hannah, if you could, you shared the spreadsheet, but if you could put something in a form of words about the, you know, the cohorts, and we'll ping that out to schools, and we'll, you know, I think we're likely to have a few volunteers to begin to model some data, you know, to ensure that this is fit for purpose. So that sounds absolutely fantastic and a great response from
Lovely, thank you all. And just so you know, I bet you can't see my laptop, but here's with the notes and things. So that there is a revised version, and it will come out to you, Julie. And just obviously apologies, 11th hour. Well,
we do appreciate, Hannah, you stepping in at the last minute, because if it hadn't been you, it would have been me trying to explain this, which would have been a challenge. But thank you very much indeed for parachuting in at the last minute, and for, you know, because I think it's something schools have been crying out for.
Yeah.
And I, you know, we do welcome this information.
Yeah, and Helen and I, when we get the 2 or 3 individuals that want to pilot it, we'll go through the data and maybe have a conversation with them, with the settings on Teams, to really drill down and analyse it. So that'd be really good. So, but yeah, thanks all for having me. Hopefully it was helpful, and look forward to doing a trial pilot with a few of you. So thanks very much.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Hannah.
See you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Great,
Bye.
great. And thanks to Helen.
Thanks, Helen.
You're welcome.
She said you're welcome. See you. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. So that's, you know, that sounds as though that's going to be a step in the right direction, certainly in terms of destination tracking and helping to build up that picture of your leavers. So certainly if there are 1 or 2 schools who'd really like to do some modelling with the local authority, we'll set that up. I think with the risk of people getting a bit seasick here, I don't know if there's anything, if you wanted to had any further questions for Mike. You know, if I'm sorry we had to, but I know Hannah only had a short window there. But was there anything before we move on to another speaker, just give a chance to draw breath, any particular questions around Compass Plus or comments? Okay, nothing.
Nothing in the chat.
Okay, well, what's as Mike did say that you know, please do speak to your enterprise coordinator or speak to a member of the team, and we'll endeavour to provide you with any support with onboarding or any queries that you may have. So, you know, today's not the sort of end of it. You know, it's just making sure we look at Compass Plus within the context of Benchmark 3. Okay. Right, so thank you very much indeed. So I think our next speaker is with us, Charles Hardy from who's going to talk about the use of Hi Charles.
Hi there.
Charles Hardy.
Hi there. Yeah, not handy, I'm afraid. No.
Sorry.
You recognise the eminent speaker from a few years ago? No. Charles Hardy from LinkedIn. Hello.
Okay, Charles. So we've had thinking about tracking ex-pupils. We just would welcome your view from LinkedIn about how schools may be able to use LinkedIn more effectively to support them. You know, we've had a presentation from Future First about the package they can buy to provide the wider support with alumni tracking, but just, I suppose, using a tool that's readily available to careers leaders. Perhaps you could just introduce, some of the information around how you could support schools with developing LinkedIn.
Yeah, sure. So hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Charles, at LinkedIn, actually beaming from Sutton Coldfield on a miserable day. I'm just going to share a few slides here. So hopefully that's come up okay for you. Let's see if I can get that to a full screen. Is that showing okay, Julie?
See that, Charles?
Yeah, brilliant. So I've been working at LinkedIn for a number of years, helping universities and colleges get set up correctly on LinkedIn, and now sort of trying to help address schools, because often not set up correctly and not necessarily seeing the value. But everything I want to show you is all readily available. It's just a case of getting it turned on and set up correctly, and then it will kind of organically work for you. Just in terms of what LinkedIn has at the moment, we've got over 750 million people. And when you start talking about your school alumni, every generation, they're going to be on LinkedIn in some shape or form. You just haven't probably got them attached to you as a school. So that's what we want to try and help. The fact is we have just a wealth of information on careers and companies and jobs and the skills you need in those jobs and what you can do at university and all sorts of things on there that you can also tap into and your pupils can tap into. I just want to talk, I'm going to talk very quickly, and then I'll share this deck through Mike, so you can have access to it and come back to me with questions or the status of your own school on LinkedIn, what it looks like and how we take it forward. So the right foundations, often schools aren't set up correctly. How you can use it for your students, and then the alumni piece, it sort of flows on from that. So the value of having your school set up correctly is that your pupils and your alumni can add it to their LinkedIn profile. If you're not set up correctly, they can't add it. You can't track them. You can't see where they all go and work. You can't see your alumni. So it's really fundamental at the front end. And I'll show you how to do that, and I'll leave instructions. And once you're set up, automatically pupils and alumni, once they've put you in their profile as I studied at your school, then they'll be automatically following, so you can post content to them and maintain that engagement. And you'll also automatically get information and insights on where they work and how they got there. So it's really, really powerful. Here's an example from one of my local schools I've helped make sure get set up in the last couple of years. So this is Bishop Vesey's. And you can see they've already got nearly 3,000 alumni following their page and attached. Not just following their page, they can actually tap into a link. So if you went on LinkedIn, I don't know if people here are already members of LinkedIn, but if you searched on Bishop Vesey's on LinkedIn, you'd get to their page and you'd be able to tap into this alumni information. If I click through, I think I've got some information here to look at. So as you can see, when I add education to my profile, I need to select from a drop down, because if I don't select from the drop down, as in listed schools, then it doesn't put the logo, it doesn't attach me, and you can't do the alumni piece. So it's really, really important that we set you up, because if it's sort of like this second option here with a grayed out version on my profile, then the alumni feature isn't enabled and your students and your alumni can't add the school. And this is what the alumni feature looks like on LinkedIn. You would see it there. If you look at your school page on LinkedIn and it does not have that, then you haven't switched on the feature. And I can show you how to do it. It's absolutely free. And then you start to get data like this. So just looking at Vesey's data with their 2,858 alumni, we can see where they live. We can see what organizations they work at. So they got 22 people, alumni from the school, who are now working at Jaguar Land Rover. And we can click on this, we can scroll down the page and see those people. All that data is there and available. They can engage them through the main page, posting content. It just empowers the whole machine. This looks really complicated. I built a flow chart to try and help people navigate through. So does your school have a page already? Yes and no. Here's guys and set one up. Who's managing the page? And then ultimately getting down to, have you got your page converted from a company like LinkedIn or like IBM into a school? And that's absolutely critical. And then that unlocks the alumni feature. So again, this will be available. I'm not going to spend loads of time on it here, but it'll be available in the deck. And there are links in here to take you to the guidance or to the request form to do it. As I say, it's just a little bit of admin at the front end to set you up for success. Converting to a school is no cost at all. And then once you've done that, well, your students in year 12, year 13 can start adding it, can create a profile, can add the school to their profile, which is obviously really important for them. And they can start building their connections. They can research employers, they can research universities and what kind of careers people go on from different courses at universities. There's just a lot of information in there that's really beneficial to your year 12, year 13 students, whether they're going off to do apprenticeships, whether they're going to university, whether they're doing anything. It's a really great foundation for them. And here's just an example of looking at alumni on a university that's really mature. So the university scene has been using these tools for years. And if you look at a university, here's Notts Trent as an example. They've been gathering their alumni and they've got over 140,000 alumni. Now, why is that interesting? Well, it's kind of showing you how it works over years and years as each cohort goes on and they grow this community. But also, if you are interested in going to Notts Trent, you can actually go and research what people have studied and then what careers they've gone on to do, where they work, what skills they've got, etc. Similarly, you can research employers. So here's Jaguar Land Rover. They've got a page. They post lots of content. They post their jobs, whether that's apprentice jobs or experienced jobs, and lots of intelligence about what it's like to work at these companies. And then finally, the final piece of this jigsaw, you set yourself up as a school. You're garnering your followers. You're you'll get it through your alumni comms. You might have already, you're asking them to make sure they're on LinkedIn and they've added you into their education of their profile so they become followers. And as you do that, then you can continue to build this group. But it might not just be students and alumni. You might be posting out content to parents or to local businesses, to employers. This is a forum where you can have lots of different members of the community interested with the school following the content that you put up. And there's just a few examples from what VZ have been putting up on their page, considering their audience, not just the alumni, but others. But it's a great way of posting out to alumni, for getting speakers and mentors, work experience, all of that, because they have a really strong bond to the school and they want to give back. So that was really fast. Mike told me I only had 10 minutes, so I've tried to keep it really slick for you. And I know you've already had quite a lot going on. I say I'll send that over. I'm really, really keen to help schools get set up and get this organically happening without too much work. If you're getting, as I say, your year 12, 13 to create a profile, universities will get them to create profiles. That's a regular part of what they get their students to do. Employers will. So if you do the foundation now, you set your pupils up for success, they become alumni, and it automatically tracks them on an ongoing basis. Any questions, or have I just blown you away?
I was just wondering, Charles, obviously if the school hasn't got a LinkedIn page and they want to set one up, how easy, how long would that take? Is it really sort of simple and straightforward? Because that's the first step, isn't it? And
yeah. Often there's some page that's existing there, whether anyone's maintained it or not, in some shape or form. But if there isn't, say in this guide, I've put a link to creating a new page. It's really easy and it doesn't take any time at all to create that page. Then of course you want to tell everyone this page exists. It becomes more of a recruitment exercise. You want employees at the school to add it to their profile. That's often where it started. There'll be people who work at your schools who have a LinkedIn profile and have said they work at the school. So what does that look like? There's probably something there already. It's the same entity that people work at, that people also put in their profiles they study at. It's the same thing. So it just probably hasn't been enabled for the study part, only for the working at part.
And sorry, I had another question. I'm not sure if you might have already said this, but if a student in the sixth form sets up their own page and then links themselves to the school, can they research the alumni of the school?
Yes, it's public. If you're on LinkedIn, you can access all of that. It was actually designed primarily for students to research careers of alumni, to help them to gain sort of ideas about what they could go and do, and even connect to alumni as sort of a mentoring facilitation. So yes, they can.
Thank you.
Charles, there are a couple of questions in the chat function around somebody asking if someone was it's been set up by a previous member of staff. How can they change the ownership of that? So can the admin be changed straightforward? I'm presuming that there's a way to switch that over. You've got it in the corner there.
It can be a little bit complicated if someone set it up and left.
Right.
I mean, ideally, you need them to transfer ownership over. That's plan A. If not, then you need to put in, and this is a link as well, a claim to getting the page. Right. Worst case scenario, that's not going very well, and you just set up a new page and we'll work out getting rid of the other one. But ideally, you just need to claim that page so that the ownership is with someone at the school, and possibly you have 2 or 3 people administrating it, so that it's not just one person. And you're if they get hit by a bus, that complicates things. But yeah, there's a link here to help with that. and I can help understand if there is an existing owner, who it is.
Okay. And would that include things like the changing of a name? Because obviously one of our schools, one of our Crisley is asking because they've had a name change of the school. I take it that will be a similar kind of process to kind of just go through those the links you've got on that page.
Yeah, so the page owner, page manager, once we've established that, can change the name. Right. That would be fine.
Okay. Fantastic.
Well, if that's okay, then I will send this over to you, Mike, and you can also share my contact details. And so if any school needs help getting set up or has questions, then I'm more than happy to help sort that through.
Are there any further questions for Charles? Or, I mean, I think, Claire, you put a comment in. It'd be interesting to know how many schools are using LinkedIn. You know, you've given an example there of Bishop Vesey. Are there any schools with any feedback on how they're using it? No. Okay, well, thank you very much indeed, Charles. That's really, I mean, it sounds as though it's, you know, it's not a huge complicated process, and you know, that it's great to have that support. So you say you'll share your contact details, and you're happy for people to contact you if they need any support with that.
Yeah, totally, that's fine.
That's a brilliant offer, and you know, very useful. And you know, I just think, you know, as a user of LinkedIn, not a frequent user, and it's great to see, you know, you just don't realize, you don't know what you don't know, do you? And the fantastic tools that are available. Brilliant.
Great. I'll send that over to Mike. Thank you for having me. I'll drop out now and let you get on with the rest of your agenda.
Well, thank you very much indeed for attending. That was really interesting and useful. Great to meet you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks, Charles.
Bye.
Right. So just to think, we've been going from one aspect of the agenda to another. I think we're at the part now. Yeah, those are the mics. So sharing any ideas, strategies, questions around benchmark 3. And we've got one example from Louise. Would you like to talk through this, Louise, from a school example about how they address benchmark 3?
Yeah, so I met with the careers leader at ARC Academy, and she shared this information with me. So it's the ARC Alumni Platform, which actually seems quite similar to Future First, and it's managed by a team at the central office. The students are encouraged to sign up from December in year 11, and part of their signing up process is that they give consent to be tracked until they are 25 years old. There are lots of incentives, including a range of rewards and opportunities to enter competitions, and then also to hear from partner employers with regards to various opportunities and apprenticeship and intern positions. So in terms of when the careers leader shared this information, first of all, she said, well, you know, I didn't set it up myself, but I said to her that it's still good for other people to know what the ARC Trust are doing on a whole to support the alumni at their school, or how they're working with them once they've left school. So that was the information that she shared with me.
Okay. Any questions? I know that Louise is speaking on the school's behalf, but I don't know if anybody would like more information about that. But thank you very much, Louise. I'll stop sharing now. Yes, thank you, Louise, for sharing that example. Has any other schools got any examples that they would like to share? I'm not sure at this stage. I mean, it's because we've only got about 10 minutes or so left. I don't think we'll go into breakout rooms at this stage. But if there's anything that people would like to share, either in the chat or you're welcome to join any strategy, or what further support information that would help you with some of the issues that have been discussed this afternoon.
I think it's useful to say, Julie, that we've got our mini clinics coming up. So, you know, things like that, if people come with things like that to those, then we can, you know, everyone's very quiet tonight. I don't know if it's because it's nearly 5 o'clock, but you know, we can start to look at those in the smaller groups, can't we, next week?
Yes, I was going to mention those, that yeah, you should have all received the invitations to the mini clinics, which really give us, it's a smaller forum for discussing some of the issues that have been raised this afternoon. And certainly we'll be revisiting you know, what the local authority was looking at, what Future First is offering, and perhaps some strategies that individual schools have used. So we can look at that in a smaller forum next week. So that will give you an opportunity. As Ruth said, it is the end of a long day, and you know, we hope that you'll be able to join those mini clinics to you know, just address some of the issues in more detail. Okay, so if nobody, is there anything else in the chat that I've missed, or
no, just people saying that it's been really useful.
That's good to hear. Yeah, we know that your time is very precious, and it's great that you found the information very useful. Conscious that we've really perhaps, there's been a lot of information this afternoon, but I think it's all been of value to this particular benchmarks. And certainly, you know, I hope that this afternoon won't be the sort of end of the discussion, but that we'll be continuing to, you'll continue to discuss it. We've mentioned the mini clinics, and obviously you'll have the opportunity to discuss with your enterprise coordinator in individual meetings about some of the issues that have been raised this afternoon. So we'll leave it there for now, unless anybody's got any burning issues. But as always, I'd like to thank you very much for all your hard work and attendance, and your very positive feedback that you found the inputs useful this afternoon. So thank you very much indeed, and we'll leave it for there, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.